So a lot of people like to flex financially with big cars, big houses, fancy vacations, whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my biggest flex financially was being able to allow my wife to retire early at 49 years old. This was about 2 years ago. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the circumstances that led to her retirement, how we were able to allow her to retire. And in the last part of this video, I want to talk about the unforeseen result and what I witnessed in those 2 years since she'd been retired, and how it changed our outlook, my outlook, our outlook together on what retirement looks like and what it can and should look like in the future when it's my time to check out of the workforce. So a little backstory. We've been married over 30 years. We've always been, for the most part, a two-income household. And side note, if you want to have financial success, there's an old rule that says one spouse, one house. Picking the right spouse, not getting divorced. I know there's terrible circumstances where you can't avoid that, but be able to stay married to the same person for 30 years, unbelievable financial hack. We got married at 19 and 20 years old. Been together, like I said, over 30 years. And we've been able to accumulate a fantastic life together, greater than we ever thought we would achieve. Now, we're not millionaires. We're, I guess, an upper middle class couple. We had kids early, so our kids are grown and out of the house. And we sit here in our early 50s in what I like to call our second youth, with no kids at home, no kids in college, and just the two of us and our little puppy. And that leads right into, how was she able to retire at 49 years old in this economy, with this inflation, how everything is going in this country and in this world? How was she able to even pull the trigger and retire early? Well, early on in our marriage, one thing we agreed on, not always, we argued about it some, was our expenses have always been based on my paycheck. So as a poor Air Force guy, when we got together, it wasn't much of a paycheck, but we based all of our household expenses around that regardless. And as we moved throughout our careers, continued that. Like I said, we didn't always agree, always see eye to eye on that, but at the end of the day, it paid off greatly for us. Number two, outside of a mortgage, we've avoided consumer debt for the most part. We've had car payments over the years, but never outlandish, unreasonable cars. Even our house, while we do still have a mortgage, it's a very reasonable sized house, more than enough for two people, more than we'd ever thought we'd have back when we got started together. So the major expenses in our life, no big credit card debt, no credit card debt at all, to be honest. Reasonable cars and a reasonable house. And what that looks like in practice, not succumbing to the same thing that most people fall prey to, which is lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation, or lifestyle creep. Of course, we make a lot more money than we did when we first got married. And of course, we have nicer things, a nicer house than when we first got married, but we didn't let it run away with the more money we made, the more money we spent. We did not do that. Now, why she had to retire early was a little different story. She had a cosmetology license and has done hair for 30 years, has owned her own salon, 3 different salons over a 20-year period, and just had fantastic success. A great business owner, did a great job. Never had giant salons. She didn't want the headache of all those people, but she's always had very successful salons, built a large clientele list for herself and the few girls that work for her. But with any job that requires repetitive motion, as you can imagine, a hairstylist, wrist, arms, shoulders, she started to develop some physical issues with her shoulder, neck, wrist, and some other things, where she couldn't continue to do hair herself, and she didn't really want to maintain a salon with just a couple of girls working for her and almost break even with the rent, things like that. So we made the decision a couple years ago that, hey, why don't you just retire? We've got our finances in order. We can take the hit on the I'm going to call it the recreational spending that she provided. My high savings rate and my income was able to cover all our expenses. And I always told her, because of the money she made, we got to go on more vacations and do things like that. But the household was covered with just my income. So we were able to say, hey, look, why don't you just retire? You've worked hard 30 years. Kids are gone. Why don't you just take a break and enjoy it? We even so far as went to see an orthopedic surgeon, a spine surgeon, to confirm what we thought was going on with her. And he basically said, you can have surgery or you can quit doing this. She didn't want to have surgery, so she quit doing what she was doing. Now we're going to talk about what happened when she did retire, and I was really blown away by what I witnessed. And the way we timed it was really perfect. We timed it out to where she retired right after Memorial Day 2 years ago, heading into summer. So in my mind, retirement for her was going to be great. She could spend time up at our local pool or club that we go to, drink some margaritas with her friends, relax, suntan, do a little shopping, just relax, recover from the 30 years of hard work she put in, of not only owning a business, but being a mom and being a wife and everything that goes into just being a hardworking woman. She earned the right to retire. So for the first month or two, it's exactly what I thought it would be, what I hoped it would be. She got to go to the pool. She got to lay around in suntan. She got to visit with friends. But soon after that, I could see a decline in her, not her attitude, but her mental state, her mood, and just started seeing some things that I didn't foresee start to happen with her. Sadness started to creep in. Of course, boredom started to creep in. And I didn't really know what to make of it or what to do about it. So we sat down and months into her retirement had to talk about it. And there's a few things that she said that caught me. Number one, like I said, she was a hairstylist. She owned salons. So she had hundreds of clients, many of which she developed relationships with, considered them friends. And she figured, well, I'm not doing their hair anymore, but we'll still be friends. And I've heard this from other people. When you leave the office, you presume these people will still be your friends, even though they're your work friends, and you never hear from them. She thought this would be different with it being such a more personal relationship with, doing someone's hair is like therapy. They come in there every 6-8 weeks and sit together and visit and share stories. But literally, of those 100 clients or 200 clients, whatever she had, it was ghost city. She heard from a few early, and then it just trailed off to where she didn't hear from any of them. Didn't really hear from any of the people that she used to work with, and was literally just left sitting with her own thoughts. And after the initial wave of summertime and the pool and all that wore off, and this also coincided with me returning to office. I work from home a lot, so I returned to the office full-time, which left her at home with just her thoughts and our dog, which doesn't sound all bad, but when you're used to being on the go, you're used to being a business owner, and you don't have, what I saw was she felt like she didn't have a purpose anymore. Not that your identity should be your work, but it really took her into a dark place. For months, I really couldn't get it out of her until we sat down and had that talk, like, hey, what's going on here? And she revealed some of these things we've already talked about to me. So that was almost 2 years ago, and I'll tell you, it really turned a light on for me to know that when it is time for me to check out of the workforce, hopefully sooner rather than later, that I need to be set up to retire to something and not just retire and be at home and go to the pool or go hiking or fishing or whatever it is that you might like doing. It's what I like to do, hunting, fishing, hiking, whatever. Retire to something with a plan. She didn't really have a plan, and retirement kind of came on her quick. We didn't set up for it a year ahead of time or anything. And it put her in a bad place. And I know that sounds weird to say. Many of you watching this may think, oh, I can't wait to shut it down and not have anything to do every day and do whatever I want. Well, when you can do whatever you want to do, that also includes doing nothing. And if you do nothing too long, it can put you in a bad spot mentally and even physically. Now, I'll give you an update. We're 2 years past her early retirement date. And I'd say in the last 6 months especially, she has really cranked up her physical fitness, been going to the gym, so proud of her. Dialed in on her eating, so proud of her. And now she's even gone back to work part-time, a couple days a week. She's renting a small studio where she can do just enough hair, see just enough clients to not flare up her injuries, but get her out of her house. And I think it's a good mental reset for her just to have that something to go do. So she's working a couple days a week, and she's doing great. So a little update at the end of this video, she's doing great. But what it taught me watching her retire early, I was so proud of it, and I'm still proud that she was able to do it and could do it now if she wanted to, if things with her shoulder and neck got flared up again, or she just got tired of doing hair, she'd go do something else. I'm so proud that she was able to do that, but it really showed me the importance of not just retiring into the abyss, that you need to retire to something, and that something could be different for everybody, but have a plan. Talk about it with your spouse. If we had both retired at the same time and not had a plan and sat there and stared at each other every day, I don't know what that would have done. Would we have fought a lot? Would we have gotten on each other's nerves? I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. So I'm curious if anyone watching this video has retired early or retired not early. When you retired, did you face any of those same issues? If you haven't retired early, have you even thought about that? I would encourage you, if you haven't retired yet, to think about what your plan is when you are ready to get out of the workforce, when you're work optional. I know watching my wife go through it really made me start thinking about it. I'm much closer to the end of my career than the beginning, so need to have a plan when it is time to dial it back and check out of the workforce. And now she thinks about it differently. She's back working part-time, but when she does stop working eventually, she will have a better plan and have her mind ready for that shift, for that change. I appreciate y'all checking out the video. I can't wait to get into the comments and look at some of your responses about this. And if you like this video, I bet you might like this next one that pops up on the screen. We'll catch y'all on the next one.